And it's time for the second quarter-final of the AF Lager Championship. Let's have a look at the table. So we've got the quarter-final all sorted, and it has already started. And we saw the Stella Artois book the first place in the semi-final after it beat the Birra Moretti. So let's have a look at what it's going to be up against. So it's going to be up against one of these two beers. We've got on my left the Warsteiner 0.0%, says it's fresh, and it's going to be against the Days Lager. This is going to be an interesting matchup, I tell you, because both of these beers I remember being rather impressed with. So we've got the Days Lager from the Days Brewery, which I was very rude about their pale when I reviewed it, but their lager is a completely different beast. I was very impressed with it. So let's have a little look. There's not much to say about these. I think I remember, like all craft lagers, it's very low in sugar. This one, like all non-craft lagers, it's not very low in sugar. 500ml can. I think they're about 4 for a fiver, and I think on special offer they're a bit cheaper than that, which is interesting for 500ml cans. The Days Lager was, I think about, again, 4 for a fiver. I think roughly like that. They weren't that dear, maybe 4 for £6, but I don't think they were that dear. I think they were cheaper than that. This was from Waitrose, this was from Booths, so it's interesting. You won't get these in your Tesco's or your Sainsbury's, but it doesn't really matter. They're at supermarkets, so they are in. So before I waffle anymore, let's get these cracked out into glasses and I will see what I think of them. And the beers are poured. So let's have a little look at them. Oh, Brewdog glass, not facing the right way. Before I go any further, let's tell you which one is which. So this is which one is which. Okay, that was which one was which. Let's have a little look. So the heads are dissipating quite quickly on these beers. This one's probably dissipating a little bit quicker than this one. But alcohol-free beers, you don't get great head retention anyway, do you really? Let's have a little look at these beers. Let's have a little look at what they look like before we start swilling them and things. So they look, this one is more amber. This one is very pale straw, I would say. It's possibly not as clear as this one. This one's very, very clear. This one's a tiny bit hazy. It's not very hazy, but it's a tiny bit hazy. This one, very pale straw. This one, a little bit of amber in it. Let's see if we can get some more head coming out of this one. Yeah, look at that. The head is coming back there. So I would see on this one as well. Not something I usually do this, but let's bring it back there. Oh, that's come back nicely as well. Okay, so let's get the nose on these two. So you know which is which. I've had a little look at them. Let's get a nose on these two. So here we are. So here we go, this one. So this one, very malty on the nose. A little bit oily in the smell there. Got a lot of like wheat in there, sort of like shredded wheat kind of thing, like the cereal or Weetabix. And also getting a lot of that malt in there. It's just a touch of syrup in the background, but it's not particularly sweet on the nose. It smells quite nice. It does smell quite nice. It doesn't smell particularly alcohol free, which is always a good thing. But yeah, there's the nose in that one. Let's see what the nose is like on this one. Here we go. Very different. Yeah, quite citrusy on the nose. We're getting we're getting orange there, but we're also getting something almost like, don't know really. I don't know, say pineapple, but I don't know, maybe mango. A little bit of almost biscuity maltiness in there as well, or wafery. Got a bit of my nose there, let's try again. But I'm getting quite a bit of fruit in the nose there. It's a little bit sweet. There's a teeny bit of kind of like wafery, biscuity malt there, but not a huge amount. Yeah, they both smell quite nice. They both smell quite impressive for an alcohol-free beer. So, let's have a swill. Let's get a taste of them. Diving in this one first. Cheers. Yeah, so it is quite malty up front. Very drinkable, nice and smooth. It's got a nice little aftertaste as well, nice little bready aftertaste. A little bit of that marmitiness in the background that I get with some of these beers. Not a bad thing. It depends whether you like Marmite or not, doesn't it really? The maltiness does taste like the kind of maltiness you do get with an alcohol-free beer. That's all I'll say. I'm not sure what it is about it, but it's just something that, you know, you'd kind of know it was alcohol-free, I think, just because that maltiness has that particular type of, I don't know, flavour. But it's smooth, it's crisp, it's refreshing, it's got, I say, it's got a nice bit of maltiness, it's fairly flavourful, it's not bad. Okay, let's try this one. Cheers. So that's much lighter in flavour. Hang on, let's give it a bit of a chance. Much lighter in flavour, not much of an aftertaste. We are getting some of that fruitiness, some of that subtle maltiness in the flavour there. It's smooth, it's crisp, it's refreshing, it's good, it's not bad at all. A little bit more carbonated than this one. What there is in the flavour is very pleasant. It's nice and fruity. It's a little bit crafty. It's just very light. Very light, very in the background. Rather weak, I would say. But it seems a thing with these alcohol-free beers. You either have them strong in flavour and they just taste horrible, or you have them really weak in flavour to disguise the horrible taste, and then they just taste weak. So it's like, I don't think I've found one yet which tastes particularly nice as such, or tastes really good, and also has a decent amount of flavour. That one, very weak when we compare it to this one. Yeah, so I'll tell you what I'm liking about this one. So this one does still have quite a generic alcohol-free lager taste. And I was hoping that the beers with the generic alcohol-free lager taste don't get very far, because I don't really like that taste, and I think it's just, that's what alcohol-free lagers taste like. I want something to make it taste, make me think that I'm drinking a real lager. This one almost disguises it. This one does a better job at pretending it's a real lager, like with alcohol in it, than this one does. But I prefer the flavour to this one, because this one doesn't have that horrible sickly sweetness that they have. It does have a similar flavour profile. Can't even say it. Flavour profile to your Rheinbackers and your Perlenbackers and your Karlskroners, and I'm trying to think of ones that aren't, and I think Peroni to a certain extent, and even kind of Estrella had it to a certain extent as well. Those kind of things, they've got that kind of, there's that sickly sweetness, it's kind of there. This doesn't have it as much, it's more in the background. But it has got a nice sort of wheatiness, and it has got quite a bit of flavour. This one is just so weak. So I've got to put this one through, I think. This has got to be the Warsteiner. This has got to be the Days. And remember when the Warsteiner was up against the Becks in the last round? I mean, the Becks, I was quite rude to the Becks, saying it was soulless and a bit hollow in the middle. But compared to this, it is, because this packs a real punch in the middle. It hasn't got much up front. In the middle, it's got this nice bit of flavour. If you like the flavour of this, it'll be really good for you. You'll really enjoy it. But it does almost lean towards that generic alcohol-free lager flavour. But there's a lot of flavour there. It's got a nice aftertaste. It's got a nice bready aftertaste. It's not ridiculously overdone. It's not as bad as a lot of the others. I think this does champion that kind of lager really well. So I think all those other breweries that are trying to do an alcohol-free lager and that has that taste, think about what Warsteiner are doing, if this is Warsteiner, because they're doing a better job. But again, it's not for everybody. It still does taste like an alcohol-free lager. That's all I'll say about that. Funnily enough, the Beck's, I've had a couple of bottles of the Beck's Blue since, and I think it's all right. The Beck's, it made it sound like I really didn't like the Beck's when I reviewed it against this. I think this is just quite a strong contender. It does have a lot of flavour, and almost anything next to it just tastes weak. This does have that fruitiness. It does have a little bit of craftiness. Has a little bit of bitterness on the end, but like the Beck's had, was hollow in the middle and had something at the front and something at the end. This kind of just hollow all the way through. So in a way, this is possibly worse than the Beck's, which is an interesting thing to say. But the flavour that it does have, there is something in the middle. It's just incredibly light. This one, it does pack a punch. And it has got a nice aftertaste. I think the aftertaste saves it on this one, because when it first enters your mouth, it just tastes like your generic alcohol-free lager with a little bit less of that sickly sweetness up front. But then when you get to the end of it, when you're at the end of the sip, it's got a nice aftertaste and a really nice finish on it, I think. Really nice, just smooth, malty finish, which is what's really pulled it through to the semi-finals. So we'll just find out whether I was right about which one was which, and then I'll do my final bit in a sec. Okay, so Days in the Daya and Warsteiner in the Brewdog. Let's pour a little bit more of this in there. Do my final bits. Yeah, the Days, it's not bad. It's light, it's crisp, it's decent. There's nothing unpleasant about the flavour in the Days. So if you just want something, a nice, non-offensive, alcohol-free lager to sip in the sun, it's a decent little tipple, even though it is alcohol free. So it's 0.0 as well. It's a decent little tipple. It's just very, very, very light and very and weak. Let's face it. The Warsteiner packs a punch as far as I'm concerned. As far as like a malty alcohol free lager, yes, it does taste alcohol free. I think, or does it? Or is it just because it's very malty? You know, could this just be a different malty lager? I don't know really. It certainly doesn't taste as bad as a lot of the other alcohol free lagers that have this flavour profile. It's got a little bit of bitterness, nice bit of maltiness. It's nice and crisp. It's smooth. And it's through to the semi-final. So there you go. So 2 more quarters to go, and then we're at the semi-final stage. Can't wait for it. Let's get rid of this out of the way. Goodbye. Won't be seeing you anymore. Water over here. Stick it in the middle. Till next time, have a good one.